when we designed that, when we spoke to Paul and Simon and Dean about the program, we thought it was very important to do a pre-meeting with everyone, just to get your feedback as well, so we can sort of tailor a lot of the information around what the challenges are in the group, okay? So that's what we're doing today, just gathering some information.
Where I struggle is I was brought up in a different time of car sales, and the person that taught me was brought up in an even earlier time where the industry was very different. So how do I get the most and work the most to build up enough confidence in two very, very fresh starters to be able to get them to build value in the product, so we're not 15 grand off the bat, let's get a delivery out for them.
You go through people's DMSs, push to quote. So that means you can look at it. They've spoken to the customer once or twice, and the customer's got a price. They've got the price. They've got when the car's arriving. You've got that customer doesn't need to come back to you. You've just lost them. Why is it pushed to DMS? They've only called you once.
Yeah.
Things like appraisals and even dealing with. I got someone's out today with COVID. Like, do we still need a doc certificate? There's sort of little things that I struggle with. But more like monthly appraisals, performance reviews.
With the Peter Warren Automotive by 2035, 30, their target is 30% and the digital closing rate. So we're currently sitting below 20, so we want to know how we can improve that.
Health in my showroom is that we do it for ourselves, we don't do it for each other. Well, the customers starting to see it, that's not a big thing.
Used car market was up here and everyone thinks that their cars are worth this much and it's declining, as we all know, but in their eyes, we still need to be here. So we've got that, myself, agency model, you've got nothing to play with, it's just, there's a number of challenges.
I think it all comes down to, how much time are we actually spending with that customer before we give out the quote. If we haven't built any value within ourselves or the product and we just give out a quote, all that customer's going to do is take that quote and they're going to shop you.
Yeah, I think the other part is what happens afterwards, the follow-up. What's the follow-up process? What are the measures in place to make sure that that's happening?
I think the most important thing with a digital lead is to understand where they're at in their buying journey. The best way to do that generally is to pick up the phone and have a conversation with them. What we need to understand is quite often they're inquiring from their couch the night before.
Yeah, and what we tend to find is if a customer has, made an initial inquiry through the telephone or for the internet, it's actually getting back to them with the same means to what they inquired on. It all comes down to having a clear structure around training your staff, making sure that obviously they follow a plan and you're keeping them accountable, making sure they're working to that plan every single time.
I agree. Look, the more you invest in your team, you're going to see the outcomes on your units, gross, and everything they do with customers.
I think you've got to have a structured format and be measuring the outcomes that you want to be the focus, whether it be grosses, volumes, conversions, closing ratios, and be consistent with it.
Definitely comes down to that consistency, locking in the same time every single month and following the same structure.
I certainly have, and the number one thing they did was they truly set the standards and made sure that nobody was above them. So a simple thing of the start time, everybody would turn up at 8:30 on the dot, no one would be late.
Absolutely, by keeping your sales team accountable, it's going to drive the result, and the way to do that is by consistently talking about it, talking about areas that they need to focus on, talking about the areas that they've done really well, and working as a team.